Hi, before we start this video, I'd just like to announce that the A.D.K Rock and Metal channel is going to be expanding into live music promotion, and we actually will be hosting our first three events this year at the 66 Bar in Cambridge, Southeast England. Please come on down if you can. We want to support the grassroots rock and metal bands. We want to find the best bands in England. And to start with, we will be hosting these events in the Cambridgeshire, Hertfordshire and Bedfordshire area. And who knows, we might even expand beyond that. So look out for some exciting news. And let me give you some information about the first three events that are in the roster.
The first event will take place on Thursday the 18th of July at the 66 Bar in Cambridge. Headliners will be Teller's Scribe, a Dickensian Gothic groove metal band. Of course, Dave is the drummer in this group. The support comes from Nomadic Rain, which of course is Andy's band, and the third band on the bill is going to be Debris, who play an interesting mix of gothic, grunge and even a bit of new metal. So come on down for the inaugural A.D.K Presents live showcase. The second event will take place on Thursday the 25th of July. Again, that's at the 66 Bar, and this is going to be headlined by Cambridge progressive metalcore heroes Far From Refuge, who will also be launching the new EP, and support comes from the Hertfordshire death grind band Extreme Death Art and the Cambridge power metal meets groove metal act Hereward. The third show in the calendar takes place on Friday the 27th of September, and that's going to be headlined by the hard-rocking groove metal band Lowdown, with support coming from Struck Down, Broken Calling and Before the Sirens, and that takes place also at the 66 Bar in Cambridge. You can already pre-order your tickets, just go to the A.D.K Rock and Metal Facebook page and you'll see the link in there.
Okay, before we go to Friday the 21st of June for this week's album releases, let's rewind a day. So we're going to start with two records that actually come out on Thursday the 20th of June 2024, and both of them are from artists in England. The first album, Acklash Reincarnation, is the name of the record, and this is a self-release progressive black metal, and this is album number 4 from this Brighton quartet, and the first since 2021's Horizon LP. You will have heard me say many times before, I'm bored with black metal, but give me something avant-garde and progressive and experimental that uses the black metal art form, and I'm certainly interested. Bit of a radical switch for album number 2, so just to repeat, this comes out on Thursday the 20th of June, and this is the English metalcore band Polar, and they release album number 6 called Swimming with Sharks. They're now signed to that German alternative metalcore label, A Rising Empire, and I've never listened to this band. I don't really listen to much metalcore these days, but I'm willing to give these guys a try. I believe they're from Guildford in Surrey, and I know that they've had a lot of press in the past from Kerrang and Metal Hammer, etc., and probably have, I assume, a post-hardcore background as well. I just hope it isn't going to be that type of metalcore, which is essentially boy bands with breakdowns. I'm sure it won't be. This band have been around certainly since 2009, so you'd expect them to be veterans, wouldn't you? So let's move on to the third album. We're actually going to stay with alternative, or perhaps we should just use the term new metal. Kitty, who remembers them? The Canadian all-female quartet. Numerous lineup changes over the years. The two core members, the Lander sisters. I've got to admit, I do think that 1999 Spit debut LP is utter shite, and that single, Brackish, is one of the worst songs I've ever heard in my life. So I was willing to write these off around the year 2000 when they first came out, and then I remember them following it up in 2001 with an album that went in a more extreme metal direction, influenced by Cannibal Corpse and Slayer. So they instantly, I wouldn't say won me over, but I started to take them seriously again. So this is album number 7, and they're first in 13 years, and it's called Fire. I've already heard the single, the main single from this album, and I enjoyed it. And Morgan Lander, the vocalist and guitar player, she's a veteran, isn't she? And she's really honed in that style for the cleaner, gritty rock vocals, as well as the harsh vocals. And they've got some good chugging riffs in there now. So they're now signed to Sumerian Records. And with the new metal revival, it's no surprise that Kitty are being rehabilitated. And I've got to say, they are worth taking seriously as well. Let's stay with nostalgia. Back to England. Who remembers the band Earth Tone 9? I do. I know they're from Nottingham, and we didn't really have much of a scene to rival nu metal in the late 90s in England and the wider UK. Let's not forget, metal music really was, so many people either disliked it or just disregarded it, certainly in the mainstream media. So you only really had Kerrang magazine to get you any airplay or any exposure. And Earth Tone 9 was certainly a band that they used to like. I guess now we would call them alternative metal. I remember them having hardcore alternative rock influences in there as well. So they're currently signed to Candlelight and Spineform. It's their first album in 11 years, album number 5, and it's called In Resonance Nexus. I remember one or two videos back in the days of Kerrang TV and Scuzz, and never really got into them, so let's give them a try. The next one we're moving on to, what do I say about this then? So this is a band from Togo, and they actually call their music African metal. The band is called Arka and Asra Foka, and the album is called Ziku. And I don't know why I've been pronouncing that with a Scandinavian accent, but you'll see the text on the screen. So they're signed to Rain in Phoenix Music. Even in the press release, it mentions Sepultura roots, as the origins of ethnic metal. I'm looking forward to this. I know that they've got traditional heavy metal, hard rock, and then they'll have native folk music in there as well. Africa, I know it's a continent, not a country, but you do hear people talk about the Afro beat, certainly within jazz. But also, I know that bands like Faith No More, certainly Puffy, the drummer who studied at Berklee College of Music, I'm sure he did. He's very much into African rhythms and the complexity of them. So it'd be great if they've got a Faith No More influence in their music as well. We mentioned Sepultura, didn't we? So let's move on to the next record, Cavalera, Max and Igor. They've now covered Schizophrenia, and that comes out this Friday. The Origins of Death Thrash. I wonder what their main purpose is here. They've already covered Morbid Visions and Bestial Devastation last year. So are they covering all the albums that Sepultura released prior to signing to Roadrunner Records for 1989's Beneath the Remains? One assumes that that's what they are doing. It leads to the wider question, is this superfluous? Why are they doing it? Well, you only have to listen to Max, and he is right when he says that Sepultura was the name that he used to carve into his desk at school as his metal band that he created as a teenager. So you can understand why he's quite bitter. Obviously, wounds have healed, and Igor left Sepultura, didn't he? After, what was that shit 2004 album called? Roback? I think that was his last record, wasn't it, with Sepultura? So he's obviously made up with Max now. And this is the third Sepultura album that they're covering in the name Cavalera, which, of course, they co-wrote and recorded the original materials, and this is released via Nuclear Blast. We're going to go to France. So this is album number 8. No, sorry, we're not going to go to France. We're going to go to the USA. And this is an interesting record released via Season of Mist. The band is Replacire, and the album's called The Center That Cannot Hold. This grabbed my attention because the new vocalist in this band is James Doughton of that great American progressive death metal group Black Crown Initiate, who I don't think have split up, but they're certainly on a hiatus. So that he's joined this band, tech death, I guess you would call their music. Now, the interesting thing is that James Doughton has replaced Evan Anderson Berry, who many of you will know from that fantastic Century Media Boston prog metal group, Wilderun. So it's like they've swapped one contemporary legend for another here. And this band also contains 2 ex-members of Black Crown Initiate. I really love that band, and I hope they haven't split up. So anything with James Doughton, who's probably the best contemporary death metal vocalist out there, anything with him is going to certainly make me want to listen to it, even if it's technical death metal, which notoriously I've got to say is one of the most boring genres of music on earth. Now we're going to France. And this is album number 8. Sorry, the last one was album number 7. My mathematics are not great tonight. So, album number 8, Calcine. And the album's called Common Love, Common Nausea, French hardcore band. And this is released via Church Road Records, and it's the only debut record on this list. As I've said before, I tend to find the heavy music that comes out of France, they just seem to have more to prove. And you just get that extra 10% in the aggression and brutality, but also the fervent passion of the music. So I'm going to give that a go. We're going to stay in France. Album number 9, I guess you would call these genre pioneers Alceste, Le Chant de l'Horreur, post-black metal, or black gaze, that's what they're credited with inventing. They're now on Nuclear Blast these days, aren't they? This is their first album since 2019. I see their t-shirt quite often when I go to metal gigs. These are the type of band that appeal to the black metal crowd, even though they've moved away from that. But they also appeal to the Arctangent crowd as well, so the more progressive side. And even, let's be honest, even if you like shoegaze and noise rock and alternative rock, you could probably enjoy this band as well. There's certainly a soothing essence to their music, isn't there? Very dark and well layered. I've never really sat down with an album in full. I know some of the videos that I've watched over the years on YouTube when people have recommended them. So yeah, why not give them the time that they deserve on this one. And for the last album, we're actually going to stay with the genre of post-metal, and it's the supergroup Sumac. Of course, everybody knows them because of Aaron Turner of Old Man Gloom and ISIS fame. This is album number 5. It's called The Healer, and it's released via Thrill Jockey Records. Can you believe it? But I'm going to say it again. I've never actually spent that much time with this band. I know of Sumac. I know of Aaron Turner's work. And I joke, don't I, on this channel that there's always a post-metal album each week. And that's what we're going to end with here. They're a super group. And I know that they're well rated. And I was interviewing the Danish post-metal band Collapse last month. And the singer was talking about his love for Aaron Turner's music and how he really enjoyed the last Sumac album. So I will certainly take his recommendation. And that concludes this list for albums released on Friday, the 21st of June, 2024.